All right, we're talking about cloud formations. The look of the clouds can tell us quite a bit about what's going on in the atmosphere. When you see very high altitude clouds that are very wispy like this, do you know the name? You studied this in high school? Cirrus. Those are cirrus clouds. What are they that make them look so wispy? They're not droplets of water, they're ice crystals. So when you see a cirrus cloud, you're not seeing water, you're seeing ice. And so that a cirrus cloud means you're dealing with very high altitude ice crystals, moisture at high altitude. So there's a cirrus cloud. When you have just a big blanket of clouds, it's called stratus. So it's just one solid blanket. When you see a stratus cloud cover, that indicates that the atmosphere is very stable. The air is not moving. That's the reason it's formed a nice blanket. And there's a lot of moisture involved. Okay, so that's horizontal sheets of water droplets and stable air. When you see cumulus clouds, you have some kind of a convectional uplift. That's what's keeping the clouds suspended. That's why many times they'll appear dark. When you have a cumulonimbus, that's where you have these vertical type clouds, anvil clouds, thunderheads, and that's where you have a lot of uplift of warm air. And you generate lightning storms and torrential rains and things with the cumulonimbus. When you have clouds at the surface of the earth, it's called fog. And if you ever wonder what it's like to walk through a cloud, just walk through fog. It's the same thing. Just little droplets of water that are suspended in the air. But anyway, you guys are familiar with fog.
When my daughter first started noticing clouds, she wanted to catch them. I woke up one morning and it was foggy outside. So
Yeah.
Rebecca, you want to go walk through a cloud?
That's right.
She's like, yeah.
Same stuff.
She was very disappointed.
If you've ever flown anywhere and you go up into the clouds, it's when you go into the cloud, it's like you're in a fog bank because it's essentially fog. It's or a cloud at the surface. But anyway, you can see the layer of air. If you live in certain areas where you develop early morning fog, you can actually see it rise. Surely, I mean it's fog, and then you see it's a low cloud, and then it just becomes a cloud. But anyway, it's moisture, and you can see it has the effect of almost like an ocean of air. This is the Great Wall in China. You can see the fog bank is developed behind it, so the wall is like a big dam, and you can see the moisture, the air pouring over it. Because when it becomes droplets of water, you can actually see the fluid nature of the air, how it flows, like a waterfall. It's another example of a fog bank coming over a ridge. So this is a ridge. The fog bank's developed on the other side, and you can see it's just pouring down like water. Because it's a fluid. And it behaves like a fluid. It's just invisible to our eyes, unless they're droplets of water that we can trace out the movement. Here's a river of fog flowing along a valley. Another river. Actually, there's a river below this. It's forming the fog. Here's a lake of clouds. This is the Grand Canyon, full of clouds. It always brings a certain amount of consternation to see this slide because I've been to the Grand Canyon once in my life, and we got there, it's like this. It was, matter of fact, it was above the canyon too. It just couldn't see anything. We waited for like 2 hours for the fog to clear, and it never cleared. So I've been to the Grand Canyon, but I've never seen it. I like this image because it brings home the point that if the atmosphere really is an ocean, then we're like sea creatures living at the bottom of the ocean. And sometimes we get in our planes and we fly up a little bit higher. But this is, you can actually see the ocean of the atmosphere in our houses down at the bottom. So, what kind of cloud bank would you call this, do you think? This would probably be more of a stratus, cumulostratus. You see the individual clouds. What would this cloud be? That's a cumulonimbus. And it's a cumulus cloud, but it's formed into a vertical column. When they begin to spread out, when you have a large cumulonimbus, it can actually form a thunderhead or an anvil cloud. You can see I was forming like an anvil there. But this would be stratus, maybe cumulostratus. and this would be the cumulonimbus. That may be an anvil cloud there. These are definitely anvil clouds. And that indicates there's a very intense updraft, and that's where you get thunderstorms forming. And those low pressure cells that develop, especially when you're over a body of water, can become centers for a collection of energy, and they evolve into hurricanes.